Thank you. Excuse my voice today. I've got 3 kids at home, and one of them brought me something. So I'm happy to be here. I'm a collaborative guy. I know a dozen or more of you here today, and you know that I like conversation. So if there's a moment that you want to put your hand up and chime in, please do, because that's super important to this discussion. This is an amazing industry we're in, and we've got lots of challenges, lots of room for change, from the ownership to design to what we do, and in the life cycle of buildings. So I'm excited about sitting right here and talking to people who really give a shit about that kind of stuff. So because there's not enough of us out there. So how does this clicker work here? I should have got instructions. Let's go like that. There we go. So I'm going to talk a little bit. There's a few slides. We've got an amazing team in the office, and they put together some slides. There's 4 of them. I'm going to fly right through them about who I am and what we've done and who ETRO is. But just to give a taste, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about leveraging good technology and what we do. Talk about communication and talk about facing the future. We are a young company. The average age of our employees is 38 years old. We've got 65 of them, and they want to do it differently. And it's funny, the older men and women that we have working for us that have gray hair, they love being part of something that wants to do something differently, and they're tired of the old ways. So as a warning, 10 years ago, I was a practitioner and user of BIM and Revit, and I played, played the game of managing conflicts and dealing with Amir, who sits over there, who I spent a lot of time with in my Ledcor days. But I'm a believer in everything that all of you here and all of our industry is about moving for the future. So I'm not a tech junkie. My son knows how to use my iPhone better than I do. But I believe that we have a long way to go, and watching and reading, and knowledge is power, and I really enjoy seeing what's out there. Again, I think the key goals is making lives easier, doing things better, more productively, and being more sustainable. I think for us, at least, that's what we want to do, and we'll get into a bit more about that. We need more believers, more makers, and more creatives. Our industry is stuck in some places, on the contracting side at least, with old regime, and we need some change there. So the level of baseline sophistication, I don't know, I think I saw 1 or 2 subcontractors are here, but in general, the highest level of technology for a lot of our vendors is Excel and email, and that is horrific and terrifying to me. And so we need to get away from that world and really not just be amazing ourselves and the people in this room, but we have to download a mentor and find a way to transition and transfer knowledge to all parties in the supply chain. Because if we're just doing it alone, sitting in the middle, or the owners are just doing it, or the consultant's just doing it, we're wasting our time. So that's a little bit about where, as a highlight. So I'm going to go very quickly through about a minute of where my career started in Ledcor 2002 as a junior estimator, call it the mail room. I played on the fax machine and rolled drawings, hard copy drawings, for a long time. Moved my way through the career, and I was fortunate enough to get moved to the Caribbean. I spent 4.5 years in the Bahamas building a $400 million airport for Vantage Airports, YVR, with Ledcor. I was put there as virtually an entrepreneur because Ledcor sent some money and sent a few people with me, and we built an airport and came back home. So I got that taste, and that's part of the reason why I left a few years later. Came back, was director of pre-con, and just got stuck with wanting more, wanting to do change. And Ledcor's an amazing company. I had the best mentors in the world there. I truly, truly did, and I would not be here without that. And I'll get into the mentorship piece a little bit later. But without having those opportunities and that mentorship, I would have never gotten here. So came back and said, I want to do things differently. I want to try something new. I want to make change. I want to deliver things. And big companies are hard to change. And big companies, it's hard to implement. You have 1,000 employees, implement one widget, it takes a lot of energy. You have 65 employees, a change is very easy. And we'll talk a bit more about that. Our company, I started November 2015, so it's just over 3 years, in my basement by myself, computer, 2 screens, and a pickup truck. And 3.5 years later, we're 65 people. We've done some amazing projects. We have some of the smartest individuals in the industry. We partner with some of the smartest partners in the industry. whether it be on the tech side or whether it be our trade partners. We have amazing partners across the board. And I think that's a big part of being successful in the new age is you can't do everything on your own. Don't pretend you can have the best everybody. You've got to find partners who are the best and bring them together and collaborate. And that goes with clients, that goes with with our vendors and consultants. We engage, I think we have 42 different consultants. I know it sounds expensive, but we have 42 different consultants that work for us in some manner within our organization that support us indirectly or directly. So we recently hired a director of tech and innovation. The official announcement of that will come out in the next few weeks. We're super excited about that. I don't know any other companies our size that are making those types of investments. And does everyone know what a BHAG is? Everyone, big, hairy, audacious goal. So we have like 100 of them. And they're on our wall and they're everywhere and everyone believes in them. But one of them is to be the most innovative construction company in Canada. And we were going to say North America or the world, but that just seemed way too much for now. So we're going to focus on Canada and we're going to focus on Vancouver first, and then we're going to focus on BC, and then we're going to focus on Canada. So we got a lot of work to do, but we're on our way. So we do a lot of stuff. I'm just going to we do lots of multifamily residential, lots of commercials ground up, lots of tenant improvements, and ugly, nasty renovations that nobody wants to do. We love those the most. So we don't want to do simple stuff. So I'm just going to skip through. There's some beautiful images that we put together, but that's really where we are. But at the core, we're builders. A lot of you here are designers. A lot of you here are consultants, but we're builders. In order to build, we need to focus on training, development, and mentoring of the next generation. And technology and innovation is going to help us do that, and helping us share the knowledge and experience across the organization. So we had a retreat 4 months ago to figure out who we were, and we realized we are people first. And for probably the last year and a half, I've been saying we're not innovative enough, we're not doing enough, we are not challenging the status quo, we need to do more. And all of my team, my leadership team, were like, we have so much to do. Like, we don't have time for that innovation stuff. We're so busy, we can't focus on it. And they're right. But they didn't understand where I was going. Where I was going is if we are innovative and if we use technology, all of you will have to do less. And that's really where I'm going. I believe that tech and innovation will make our jobs easier. It'll support work-life balance. It'll build great culture. It will get people home earlier. I've got 3 kids at home. I get home every day at 5:30 during the week. Tonight, I'm missing the dinner because I've got 3 kids at home. And that's important to me. And that's important to people in my generation who have young children. It's not about profits. We're not doing this just purely we didn't spend 2 days in a circle figuring out who we are just for profits. We figured it out because we want to change the business. So everyone is on board. We've engaged a new director of innovation and technology, and his focus is to roll out my dream, or our dream. So we had this discussion about where things have come, and some days I think we're stuck like way back, on number 1 or number 2 there. But what's wrong with the industry? I don't think there's anything wrong. I think we are a group of extremely intelligent people, extremely smart, very driven and very focused. But it's time for a change, and it goes back to it's hard to change a massive cruise ship. It's hard to change course, right? Where smaller companies, more dynamic, more energy, more focus, and less people to implement. And we'll get into the implementation piece in a bit. And I talk, I'm a Tom Brady fan. Apologize for those of you who aren't. But when I look at how him and Belichick can surgically go down a field with literally 0 resistance from the defense, 0, and just one play after another, 10 yards at a time. I think that's what's going to happen to all good companies who innovate and who use technology, is there's going to be no one around. They're going to look behind them and be like, what happened? So that's where we're focused at. Looking back at 2002, when I started in this business as a 19-year-old straight out of BCIT, which is a fantastic school, and we need to spend more time putting energy into their training programs. But the rest of the world has changed, and construction has changed a lot, but there's lots of room to go. People have gotten comfortable with the status quo. It's hard to tell new way forming to change the way they do formwork in the city. They've been doing it for 50 years. They're the biggest and the best, and they, with sheer labor and force, they do better than anybody. But those days are changing. Lack of funding for R&D and dedicated resource. I went through this. This is our biggest problem, is people talk about being innovative and we want to do new stuff, but they don't want to put money into hiring a dedicated resource to focus on the delivery. It's like, oh, he's going to do it on the afternoon, and in the morning he's going to try, and it doesn't work, and that's a struggle. Corporate red tape, board approvals, we need ROI, we need this, The guys came to me with a great idea, and they said, we need $45,000 to implement it, and I said, sure, let's go. That's maybe not, and my dad didn't approve, for sure, if I would ask him. He's not a shareholder or doesn't know any of the company, but he was like, you should be, and I think it's the right thing. If you have energetic people who have good ideas, and they want to spend money to do things that are going to make the company better, then you better jump on board or they're going to leave. And lack of noise makers and disruptors. And so I like the term disruptor. I think it's important. I think we need to do it. But finally, I think the worst part of all of this is implementation sucks. Implementation is hard. It takes time. You can pick the best widget. And if you don't have people who believe in implementation, then not everything that you've done and all the investment is worthless. So we're going to change that. So I open the floor. I have, what's the most significant issue or opportunity that you're currently facing? For us, it's resources. Once people come to work for us, they never leave. So talent acquisition is hard, but keeping talent within the company is easy. But our solution to that problem in finding good people, finding the right people, is we've got to be able to do double the work with half the people. And that's one of our other BHAGs, is we got to find innovative ways, use technology, use collaboration tools to do double the volume, half the people. And a lot of contractors that we compete with are super volume focused. I am 0% volume focused. We are focused on bottom line and culture. Culture first. But bottom line, we don't care if we have to do $1 billion to make $1. I'd rather do $10 to make $1. That would be a lot more fun for me, and it would leave everyone with a lot more time. So our industry has been skewed that way. So you can only do this with good tools, good technology, and good mentorship. I don't like labels, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, all that nonsense, because I'm born in '82. I do not fall into this whole category. I was a grinder working from 6 in the morning until 10 at night when I was 19 years old. So although I understand it and I can see it, I don't believe in it. But the problem is people don't understand the new workforce. Forget the problems of people putting labels on. They don't understand them. And when I was mentored, I had 5 mentors. 5. Amazing mentors. Those people are now retiring, and the new up-and-comers have 5 people mentored by 1. And that's a fundamental flaw. So if we can't figure out a training method to train those 5 people, we're going to end up with an industry that's struggling. And if we can't implement technology, we're going to end up with an industry that's struggling. So anybody have anything they want to bring up on that? Anybody have any questions or want to say something? Super quiet here. So there's just something wrong here with this. That's fine. We'll switch this up. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, sorry. So, although not in order, communication. So, is critical to doing innovative work. Collaborating, we do 98% negotiated work with clients who trust us, clients who like us, clients who believe we can get the job done. The bid, I just sat in a meeting a couple hours ago with a client that his architect said the only way to do it is design and bid it hard and kick the low guy. And I sat for an hour explaining the benefits of engaging us in pre-construction. An hour. And he said, well, that makes a lot of sense. And then I showed him what we're doing with other clients, building their Revit models and building, schedules that make sense and pre-ordering materials so the jobs can go faster. So it's top to bottom. It's everybody. So recently we made a huge change. We invested a lot of money over the first 2.5 years into another software set that was 2.5 years ago was awesome. And we levered Procore against this other product. And then about 4 months ago, my team said, what we're using sucks, and we don't like it, and people don't like it, and it's exhausting, and we have workarounds. And so we woke up one morning and said, forget it, we're moving to Procore. The whole company, in one day, we said, and it was, we've got 16, 15 project managers and 12 or coordinators. We're moving, we're switching. And we spent 1 month intensively doing, I'm going to call it really lackluster implementation. But we got it done to a level where people can perform, and their time, their free time increased significantly. So Procore is allowing us to manage drawings on site a lot better, manage our platforms, communication, information, and redundancy. And this is just a simple tool that I would say has improved our workflow in our business by 10%, 20%, instantly from where it was a month before. And people like it, it's cool, it works. And so our whole company, we bought all new hardware, all new, superintendents had laptops, now they all have tablets. We've just bought 4 62 or 44 or what, I don't know, inch touch screens to put in our trailers on our 4 larger projects. Well, one in the office, 3 in projects, to test them out. We're evaluating pretty much any option to get away from that evil thing that we'll talk about later, called paper. So,
this is from 7:30 this morning.
perfect. We're going with it. I'm good.
Okay.
I just have to do some jumping around for myself here. So a big piece of what we're doing is paperless. So we talked about the tablets. We've told our field teams by July 1st of this year, they will no longer have full-size drawings on their sites. If their site is if their project is worth over $1 million, they will no longer have drawings on their sites. They will have full-sized tablet screens, 3D, which we can use as BIM monitors for our clash detection meetings and can be used as drawing tables. And we had some squawking, and then some guys looked at what was actually available and super excited about it. So what's your strategy, excuse me, for enhancing communication? For us, it's really moving to Procore, getting away from paper, and getting away from email. We've decided that email is no longer an acceptable mode of communication for our company. We have moved completely to Slack. You get Slack shamed if you send an email that is useless or doesn't have, there's no reason for it, and everyone rallies around it. And so it's super important to us that we cut that out. I've wasted a lot of my life answering and sitting in my office dealing with email. So there's much better modes of communication. So leveraging technology. For change to happen, leaders must believe. And if you don't have it at leadership level, your company isn't going to change. So that's it. It doesn't matter how many managers you have sitting in a room talking about how they want to change. If the leadership doesn't believe it, it's done. So people say, well, what's the ROI on that? Who cares? Like, you can't think about every decision you make as finding that exact return on investment. We don't have a board. I'm the sole shareholder. So we make those decisions on our own. But we're leveraging tech in every single aspect of our business, from CRM, from pre-con and CRM, to tendering, automating our contracts, digital bid closing, hiring and onboarding, project collaboration through Procore, all of our document control, closeout and warranty. Every aspect of the business is being touched by this. So we've also, after seeing some very impressive friends of ours in the industry go the direction of lean, we've made a 100% commitment to go this route, starting right now, or probably 3 months ago we got going. But we're going to try something a little bit different, because a lot of our business is subcontracted, and a lot of our business is self-performed. For us is a small portion. So we're going to do it top down, because what I think is that all of our highest paid, most productive, smartest individuals in our company, a lot of them are right up here, management level, project management, superintendents. And we're going to focus on that level versus starting at the bottom and forcing our tradesmen, our carpenters to learn what lean is. We got to lead by example. and we can save more money and we can do better things if we go top down. Because if you don't teach the superintendents what the benefit of lean is, then they're not going to commit. They're not going to show. They're not going to train the younger ones. So we want to go top down. So it's a different philosophy. Some people disagree with me, but I think, why is my photocopier on our floor like 78 feet away from our administrative office area, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I rarely use the photocopier. They're using it 95 times a day, but they're walking from here 95 feet. So we're moving things, like we're changing it, getting rid of paper, like that's, all of those sorts of things. So for the top-down approach from the office is super important. So BIM, so this is what we're here talking about, kind of the things that we do. So this is our first West Credit Union project. It's our biggest project ever. Someone trusted us with a $45 million job last year, and we are ecstatic about it, PCI. And so we do a ton of work with MCM. They did not draw this building in Revit. And we said, are you kidding me? Why wouldn't you have not drawn the building in Revit? They said, well, we didn't. It wasn't in the budget. We didn't have it. And I just, I can't deal with that response anymore. So we went on our own, and we partnered with CAD makers, and we drew the building on our own. Our mechanical contractor drew their section. Our electrical contractor was drawing theirs, and we basically built a new model of the entire building on our own dime to do it, because we see the value. We found 37 conflicts in the curtain wall after approved shop drawings that could have been solved in the field, but now don't have to be solved at all. We've made a commitment that we do not work in the 2D environment as a contractor anymore. It's 2019. You don't draw them in 3D, we'll draw them for you, and we'll charge you. And it's funny, because I go to meetings and people are like, oh, that's okay, I get it. And then we go to meetings, oh, no, we're drawing. I said, well, are you paying for change orders, and are you paying for your consultants to do change orders and like any changes, SIs and COs? Well, no, that's so expensive. And I said, well, what's the value? Then don't draw your building and don't draw it, or we're going to charge you to draw the changes. So we're trying to get people to think about like spending good money, because it's so easy for us to deal with a lot of these issues. And this is a simple building. We did this as an example. It's not there's nothing super complex about it. But for on our perspective as a construction manager, we would have spent 120 hours of effort reviewing shop drawings on the curtain wall, metal panel, exterior steel stud system, 120. I think we got it down to about 16 hours of time to review that whole package. So that's the net benefit to us. We see the value. And this is into our next, the manufactured model, which is where we're going, looking at ways to build this somewhere else. We're not there yet. We got lots more time for that. But yeah, this is really, really for us super important. Now on the new video, which didn't come, we're also doing full-on estimating off of our BIM models. We're looking at modules. So this building has 79 glazing modules. We're trying to bring it down to like under 50 by just slightly adjusting bits of the building to create less, repetitive, or less design. So we're drawing 79 modules. If we can draw 50, that's how many less hours of drafting time on the shop drawing side. So really looking at managing design, working with our consultants to do that. And so people like CAD makers, Lutech, who we work with Amir on much of it, they're helping us, build better. Again, this is wrong. This was I'm going to just go back here, but we've just got in touch with, or we're just starting to look at a few options for reality capture. So I've been doing 3D scanning since 2007. This was a really cool headcam video on the new one. So, but I'm just going to stop it. But we've been looking at reality capture for a while, and just it's like time and effort. And but pushing the struggle we've had in the past is we do these 3D scans of these spaces, and then we get a bazillion points, and nobody knew how to manipulate them, and then we're struggling. And then everyone just gives up because it's too much effort, and we walk away, and we've wasted $5,000 scanning something. And so really creating tools that are useful, that we can take and capture data from as a contractor, and using, people use drones because they think they're cool. I just get annoyed with people who say, well, we're using drones on our job, and what are you using them for? Well, we're taking pictures. Okay, well, that's useless. It doesn't, what value is that adding? We're reality capture. Let's capture points. Let's see actually what we're doing. Let's use that, incorporate that into our models. Let's have real data, and hopefully one day we can use analytics and we can use that data to update our 4D schedules automatically. We can really manage it. And there's some people out there that are doing it fantastic. We are not there yet. We will be there in the next couple of years. We believe in it because I've got superintendents walking up and down buildings looking at stuff all day long that they shouldn't be looking at. They don't need to be there. We've got less expensive individuals and hopefully in the future robots that can go see that stuff and report back quite easily. And from the model, be able to tell you that's in the wrong place. There's an issue. We see a conflict. We see your progress. So I'm there. I believe in it. I know it's going to happen, and super excited about it. Give me one sec here, sorry. I don't know if this is, I'm just going to go forward and then back. My apologies, yeah. So a couple more items on. So we have spent the better part of 2 months writing down every repeatable process we do in our company. So we have like 1,000 of them. It's ridiculous. And some of them are so mundane that, you know, you're like, why are we even doing that? So we've created this matrix. Right now, we have no idea what to do with all the information. But we know that I would say 50% of those repeatable processes can be done by a computer with 0 people. And that's where we're going. So we need to get there, and all of this data capture and ability to capture this information is available. We have it. We have the data. We have everything in front of us. We just need to find ways to put it together, and we're working through that right now. I believe that some of these very simple tasks, we can cut our labor cost or our time down by 80% across the board on things like creating contracts. If I told you how long it takes for us to put together our contracts in our company we do 20 jobs at a time, it is a joke. And we've somewhat automated elements of it, but we're still spending 3 times as much time as I think we should be. And it's distracting us from real important work like solving problems. We had a teaching and training module, which I think is probably one of the most important ones. It looks like this. We had teachers at the front of the class and students sitting in the back, which doesn't work anymore. I really like this slide. It was my favorite one. It's not up there. So I'm a big fan of Khan Academy. Everyone know who Khan Academy is? Everyone knows what that's all about. So I've been following it for, I don't know, 5 years probably or so. Just so interested in finding the different ways that people learn. And, you know, you hired someone new and someone says, oh, he's really not that smart. Well, I don't know. He went to school, graduated, got a degree. He's here, showed up on time. Well, he's not that smart. Are you teaching him correctly? Well, what does that mean? I told him and you didn't get it. Well, maybe he doesn't learn the way you learn. Well, that's stupid. This is people, you know. So nothing can prepare you. I don't care how much education you have. Construction is an experience business. I don't care. You can go to school for 100 years. If you haven't sat in a trailer, haven't been on a site, haven't watched that crusty old superintendent, you know, solve a problem, you do not know what we do for a living. And so you need mentorship. That mentorship is severely watered down. So how do we teach it? How do we teach? Now you have 1 mentor, 5 students. Go to a trailer now, you've got 1 guy over 45 if you're lucky, 17 people, 25 years old, right? And they're just sitting on their computers trying the best they can. But they've never lived the life. They've never been in a trailer. They've never experienced a site. They've never had something go horribly wrong. I was very lucky to see that, to have those experiences, to work for crusty old superintendents who taught me everything, or for managers who knew everything. And so how do we teach those people? So we need to figure out how to teach, train, and mentor. And I think for what we're doing right now, is a system of training videos with allowances. So we can create a training video. We're going to create training videos for probably 150 of our repeatable tasks, things that we do. So you can watch it 10 times. If you don't learn that way, let's find a different way you can learn. People learn differently. Some people learn watching, some people learn listening, some people learn doing. And we are not going to give up on the talent of the future because someone thinks they're not smart because they don't learn the same way that maybe you or I did. So it was a really good slide. I'll make sure that... Another thing we struggle with, and this is our next slide, it says new hire. So digital onboarding. We are... people come to start work with us, and our safety managers, like, have they got their safety training? Yeah, we did that. And then accounting is like, do they know how to use the accounting software? And okay, let's do the Procore thing, but it's so inconsistent. It's different deliverables. Someday they learn from someone. And so we've just wrote a whole new onboarding process. And I said, well, why are we doing this with people? Like, there's people touch points in here, but why don't we create a virtual onboarding tour, right? You can send it to them a week before they start, get them excited, get them feeling about what the company's all about, right? So we're implementing a full-on virtual onboarding tool. I'm hoping that by the end of this year it's 100%, but it's going to touch on every point, and it's going to include these videos of these repeatable processes, these things that we do. It's going to talk about how you get help, what you need. It's going to give them all of the picture of what they're going to have to do to work in a place like ETRO. Anyone have any questions? I'm going to keep going. I'm like overtime now. So facing the future. So I have a ton of crazy ideas. I'm not going to share all of them with you, but there's a lot of improvement. There's a ton of things that we can do. And I'm mostly excited about, again, missing slide. Let me go here. See, it's all backed up here. This one says AR, VR. So I'm super excited about implementing it into our daily life. However, we need to find a place in our business that it makes sense. And right now I haven't found that place where we can use AR, VR on a daily basis that people are going to utilize. Putting on goggles is awesome. I've done it. It's really cool. But like, how are we solving problems with it? So I think there's a place in our side. But as an example, we have said we will never build another show center again. I have said that we will never build one for a client. It's the best way to ruin a relationship with a client before you've even built their building. And I'm talking show homes. So if you're going to buy a home and you walk through the show center, they're horrible. They take a ton of time. They cost between $500,000 and $1 million. And when they get to 70% sales, they tear them down and throw them in the garbage. Super unsustainable, huge waste of money. So on a few of our jobs, we've recommended, and that's how I know Dogu, build them a digital virtual show center or show home, what do you want to call it? And it works for 50 grand. I don't have the pain and agony of trying to staff a show suite that we don't want to build anyways. And we're saving the environment, we're spending less money, and it's just easier. So that's where I see a huge, huge benefit in our world. On the AI side, man, there's a ton to do on the automation side. We're looking at dozens of applications from estimating to closeout, capturing data, pushing and pulling information, and utilizing that to make our lives easier. Like, there is so much data that we capture, and from my previous employer that we just never could wrap our hands around. And I just think it's unacceptable. We do 100, last year we did 80 estimates a year. Let's pretend about 80 estimates we did. That's fantastic data. We finished 25 jobs, 30 jobs last year. That's fantastic data on cost, on schedule, on, is that a profitable type of work to do? Is it not? And creating trend analysis. So we've got like dozens of KPIs that we've built up to show like what makes sense, like the data's there, let's use it. And so in using AI to just automate what we do and goes back to our repeatable processes and just goes back to all of that is important to us. We talked about that. So there's another slide in between here that it says blockchain. So this is another one of my favorites. Again, sorry, it's, so we're discussing IPD. to be totally honest with you, all the research I've done, it seems it's an odd relationship, and I'm not convinced it's perfect. IPD-ish, which we talked about, makes sense, but IPD seems unreasonable for me, and it's a level of risk that I don't know that I would want to put my company in the face of at this time. But I want to know from me, and I know if you're a contractor, you're a subcontractor, or even a consultant, I'd love to know when my client got paid. I'd love to know when the bank gave my client the draw. That would be super helpful knowledge for me. If it was transparent and in a blockchain, that would be amazing. I'm sure that my subs and vendors and suppliers would love to know when the client paid me, and I'm happy to share that information with them, because if our trades are performing, they deserve to be paid on time, on the 1st, on the 30th, whatever the date in the contract, net 30, net 60, whatever it is. But most importantly, and I think this is I want to know that my vendors, who I've paid to, have paid their suppliers, and their supply chain has been paid. Because for the life of me, I can't understand why people still accept stat decks. And if you're in the business, we get these stat decks every month. They got the guy coming in, stamping these things. It's a piece of paper that is a lie every single month, every month. It's never, it makes no sense to me. Why are we, and just think of the paper and the $50, like just take that money, collect it. We have a massive party. I don't get it. So this to me is a solution. A friend of mine brought forward this application called Archilio, which is like a very cool. I did some research in the last couple weeks on it. Like there are very, very good solutions to this problem, and I believe that transparency is important. And so convincing top of the chain to the bottom of the chain is going to be difficult, but I believe it's the future. So in-house R&D. So world is changing. And I believe significant investment in R&D is important. We're a new company. We're putting everything we make back into the company. And a lot of that is going into R&D. A lot of that is going to tech investment. A lot of that is going into finding better ways to do things. I don't have a board to report to. I'll do this again if it doesn't work. I'm enjoying it. But we have to put the time and the money into R&D. So we founded ETRO R&D Co. It's our own internal research and disruption co. And started and opened an innovation lab. So in our office, we're just currently renovating, we've got an innovation lab. And that's where we can bring together, and we're going to focus on finding creative ideas. So every month I go to Creative Mornings Vancouver. If you haven't been to it, look for it. It's awesome. I've been three times, and I thought I wasn't a creative person, and then I just realized I wasn't an artistic person. I'm quite creative. And so bringing that creative nature into the group and challenging individuals to find their identity and what gets them going on the creative side. So I'm the first of the speakers starting in March, and we're going to do Creative Mornings ETRO, where you have to come up and talk about something that that you think is cool and interesting and could help the business or your personal life or your kids or who cares, but talk about something creative. And if that's, whatever it might be, and we think that's really important. We're looking to develop our own software, because there's lots of stuff in a box. I don't know which one to choose. There's so many. They all have really good salesmen. They come around and they try to get you. But by the time you look into them, they don't do what we do. They don't understand our business. Procore is literally the only solution we've found that really they get it. They've got people inside there that know what we do, and still not perfect. Still doesn't suit our delivery model. And you never know. Maybe one day we'll be selling our own software. That's another one of our BHAGs. We think that we can create some stuff that's cool. So we've invested in a rock star to lead this group. We're super excited about it. Well, that'll be announced shortly, and just looking forward to the future. So, again, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for having me, and open to questions.